the beauty of sound, meeting sound, the way sound comes to us. The sound fills the heart. The universe coming to meet us. Ah. Well, there's nothing we meet that doesn't have, that strange thing that everything has, that is the beauty of life. The Buddhists call it Buddha nature, which is really a kind of cop-out as far as names go. But it means that that thing we refer to when we don't know how to give it a name. But it's about as good as you can get. Some of the old Chinese teachers called it the light in things, or the fire in things. Some people got sick of that and started calling it the dark in things. But it's what we know when we look at somebody. We know they have it, And we feel it when I think the thing about, I want to talk about this one, is we feel it when we're delighted or when we love. In a way, that's just a doorway into the vastness. It's a story I've told a bunch of. I decided to look up what have I written. I must have written stuff about enjoying yourself, and indeed, I have. And so I looked at some of it. There was something published in a magazine where I told the story that somehow remains with me. Where I was at a retreat with a Tibetan. She was actually an American, I think an American or Australian woman who was a lama in the Tibetan tradition, wearing robes and all, and she told me she'd been a driver for famous wild, brilliant Tibetan teacher, and I said, "Oh, did you talk to him?" She said, "No, I didn't really dare." So I thought, did he say anything to you? And she said, every now and again, he'd get out of the car and he'd pat me on the shoulder and say, "Enjoy yourself." And it seemed like, and then it seemed like a bit like a koan, because it's not like an order, enjoy yourself or else, but it's more like, what other choice do we have? Here we are. What other possibilities are there in life, And the universe, any kind of, when we step out of our chains, I suppose, in our little prison or whatever it is we keep ourselves in so that we can be certain about things. When we step out of that, we have a great vastness comes over it, and we're capable of enjoying all sorts of crazy things. You're going to die in 2 seconds. And let's really enjoy these last 2 seconds. So like that. Or you're in pain. Well, what if I enjoyed my pain? What if it's life and it has that Buddha nature in it? And so I've been thinking about, as part of that enjoyment, there's that meeting the world and the world coming to meet us. And how precious that is. And how precious the eyes of a friend are when you look at them and you meet their eyes. And I think it comes from friendship. It comes from all these things, but I'll read you a couple of things about it. This is Zhuangzi, an ancient Taoist master, and is a Shentu Jia, and he had transgressed something. He'd committed some crime in the emperor's eyes and had his foot cut off. A common sort of punishment in China, and one of the things I like about the Taoists, nobody commented on whether he was bad or good or things like that. He just certainly a shame in having your foot cut off and a pain, but he studied in some various wisdom traditions, and he said this. He studied with a great master, and he said, there are lots of men with 2 feet who laugh at me for having only one. It makes me boil with rage, but I come here to the master's place and I feel calmed down again and go home. I don't know whether he washes me clean with goodness or whether I come to understand things by myself. The master and I have been friends for 19 years. He's never once let on that he's aware that I'm missing a foot. It was sort of nice, a kind of decorum in it. Your true nature is here. And Montaigne, who's always interesting to many people. Everywhere I go, somebody's got Montaigne on the bookshelves, and all different kinds of people. And he distinguished something he called true friendship was where you don't have a reason for it. You don't have an interest in it. I'm your friend because we can do business together, those kind of things. Even we can work together for the Zendo and improve people's lives by raising funds for the Zendo. So it's still not quite friendship. It's comradeship, but it's not quite friendship. And he said, he had this tremendous friend, a tremendous love for this friend of his who died after he'd known him for 4 years. And they had intellectual sympathy, but that wasn't the only thing. They just had this tremendous warmth for each other. And that which we commonly call friends and friendships are nothing but acquaintance and familiarities, either occasionally contracted or upon some design, by means of which there happens to be some little intercourse betwixt our souls. In other words, if you have what you think is a purely strategic or instrumental relationship, some kind of Buddha nature is going to creep in anyway. So, but in the friendship I speak of, the souls mix and work themselves into one piece with so universal a mixture there's no more sign of the seam by which they were first conjoined. If a man should importune me to give a reason why I loved my friend, I find it could no otherwise be expressed than by making an answer because he was he, because I was I. It's funny, an old joke about the novice and the master, or at least the senior monk sitting meditating together. The novice says, well, what comes next? And the master says, nothing comes next. This is it. And that's life, And, why do I always do, for some reason, for years, I've just done flowers for my altar, and occasionally I suggest to other people they do it, but I would just do it for me, really, and I don't know who I do it for you, but there's some way of for me, enjoying the beauty of the universe. And it's also nice to have little practice tasks, Sometimes I can't find flowers, it's winter or whatever. Sometimes I make an arrangement and have opinions about it, But in a way, it's not about opinions or beauty or any of that. I just, make flowers. So, years ago, I started long ago in Hawaii, and haven't been able to give up the habit. So, so I guess I just want to keep reading some of these things that, or commenting on. This is Sappho, who's one of the great We don't have a lot of Sappho left, which is a great pity. We have a lot of fragments, but it's a great pity because she was, when in the Greek world, when people said the poet, they meant Homer. When they said the woman poet, they meant Sappho. And and so there's something kind of marvelous about that, and a quite shameless feeling of love. Actually, for lots of people, but particularly for other women, there's something kind of, the way she felt that love, and therefore love of the world, was something that was just given to us and takes us and seizes us. There's something about that happens. That's what the world is about. It just seizes us. Some say horsemen, some say warriors, some say a fleet of ships is the loveliest vision in this dark world. But I say it's what you love. It's easy to make this clear to everyone, since Helen, she who outshone all others in beauty, left a fine husband and headed for Troy without a thought for her daughter, her dear parents. Led astray, and I recall Anactoria, whose sweet step, or that flicker of light in her face. I'd rather see her than Lydian chariots or the armed ranks of the hoplites, the armed ranks of the soldiers. Stand up and look at me face to face. Stand up and look at me face to face, my friend. Unloose the beauty of your eyes. There's something about appreciating each other there. And I think sometimes these things are kind of subtle. There's a little one of the in the Buddha story, the piece that as you know, I've been working on and off for years at refining a way to tell the Buddha story, and now it's sort of in process of being published, and the manuscript is, and we're looking for Japanese or Chinese images of the Buddha's life. If you have some, send them to me. So so the long view, I'm doing this thing, Buddha's story, because I thought it's a myth, and everybody tells it in a sort of, boring way. I thought a boring way, so I started telling it, and now it's going to be published and all. But one of the little novelistic details that made my heart leap was the Buddha gets from this, the heroine of the story gives him rice milk when he's starving to death and being clueless, and being a clueless Puritan, self-improving creature. And so this young woman comes along and feeds him as a result of a dream. She didn't know about him, but she knew about him through the dream. And then she gives him a golden bowl, and then he drinks it, and he's tremendously revived, and he says, I will throw this bowl into the stream, and if it goes upstream, I will awaken tonight. And so he does, and the bowl does go upstream until it comes to a pool at the bottom of a waterfall in the river, actually. And it sinks. And at the bottom of that pool, there's a dragon, a great snake dragon, who's kind of been a friend of Buddha's for many lives. and in fact, he has a collection of these bowls. There are 7 of them in all. And this is 7 universes. So apparently throughout the universe, there's, when the universe destroys itself and, the sun goes nova and all that stuff, the dragon, there's still a waterfall somewhere in India with a dragon that survives through all this. It's just sort of peacefully being a dragon. And anyway, the bowl, and it goes clink against the previous bowl from the previous universe. And the dragon says, so soon, a new Buddha is arising. And so that's a very subtle, like low-key way of love, that the dragon loves the Buddha and the Buddha loves the dragon, but they only meet every, once every universe, Another interesting thing from that story is that Mara is the demon, the Lord of Death, the Lord of Demons. If you ever have a bad dream with a nightmare figure, it's Mara. And so now you know who Mara is. And he And right towards the end, as Buddha's clearly getting enlightened, and all the ways Mara can appeal to him, desire and fear and, I don't know, greed, none of them seems to be working too well. And the Buddha's just like seeing into reality deeper and deeper. And Mara feels sad because he realizes he's going to miss him. He's going to miss him if he doesn't have him, and Buddha probably will miss Mara too. So there's a relationship even between adversaries. Buddha nature exists, and there's a relationship. And so I think the practices, I've been thinking, what are the practices of joy and the practices of love? Are partly to see that it's kind of happening now. It's always happening. It's never not happening now, no matter how pissed off you feel. In fact, if you feel very pissed off, this is the Mara lesson, it's probably right in the middle of that is the light of awakening and the light of discovery. You know, and the very place where you think it couldn't possibly be is where it is. You know? And this woman came to a workshop somewhere in the East Coast and lived in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is, I don't know anything about Scranton, but you can put your own projections onto that. And she went away, and she had this, you know, she and this young man were very in love, but then she went away and did what she did, and you know, got graduate degrees and things, and became a professional. And he kind of didn't, and he stayed around, and he was the garbage man. You know, he was sort of a muscular guy having a steady job with the city, sort of thing. And they met again in midlife, and they did go out, but it wasn't right. But she always felt she still loved him, you know. And every Thursday morning, she would walk up. He would hear her walk up the walkway beside the house and grab the trash can, and with a clatter, it would go back and into the truck and then back. And so there was a sort of tenderness, tremendous tenderness to the arrival of the garbage truck every day. And I think that's a kind of true thing about the heart, you know, that we like the sort of impossible friendships aren't really impossible, but they're just what they are. They're just for themselves. I have another thing here about the practice. I had a cold last week, and I've got a thing on my lip, which I hope you can't see, but maybe you can. My partner Alison would, if I were here, she'd grab me and put a makeup stick on it, you know. But she's not here. So I went into the bathroom and found, oh, that's where she keeps her makeup sticks, and I put one on. It was incredibly fun, you know. So running on, I remembered this guy who, long ago in country Queensland's sort of like the feral redneck part of Australia, but it's very beautiful and has other virtues, and there are a lot of indigenous people there. But you know, it's pretty feral, and I remember going around to the nursery that my mentor that said, "I'll go around the nursery and get these plants." And so I went around to the nursery, and the guy who ran the nursery in this little country town came out, and he had these huge big boots and big muscled arms and a sort of big frock, a big with flowers on it, a dress. A woman's old-fashioned woman's dress that's sort of very billowy and so on. And he just walked out and served me and chatted a bit about the weather and so on, and gave me my plants. I paid him and left. So when I went back home, I said, "Well, what's the story?" And she said, "Well, his wife died, and you know, he still loves her, and that's how he's with her. You know, he wears her clothes to work in the store." And she said the local country doctor. This is a great Australian story. Went round to everybody in town and visited them and said, you know, he's going to be wearing a dress when he serves you, and that's all right. He's not going to do anything bad to you or your children or anything. Just relax about it. And so anyway, I was like putting makeup on my lip. I thought of him. It was a kind of sweet thing. And I thought, wow, really appreciate him and this country town that all these avocado farmers and beef cattle farmers and things. It was nice. So the koan, I think that goes with all. There's a lot of. I think enjoy yourself is a kind of koan. So, and if you think enjoy yourself, and you realize it can't be about conditions. I will enjoy myself if somebody loves me back. I will enjoy myself if I don't get fired. I will enjoy myself if I don't get sick. I will enjoy I don't know. Life is irreducible. There are no provisions. There's nothing provisional we can put on it, and there's nothing. It's a fundamental thing. It's a fundamental gift, and there's a fundamental gift in life that we can't get out of life. We can't get it away. We can't remove. And so, when you meditate, I would say that's what you're doing. You're resting. That's where you're resting. You're resting in that thing. When you look at, look at a bird like a couple of crows. I rare to get crows here, and they're really big. And I was thinking, are they ravens or crows? Pretty sure they were crows. And they came in, wandered around the garden a bit, and they've got it. And then the little birds who don't much like the crows, they've got it too. The crows. Kay Ryan says, learning quid pro quo. They're always, spreading their bit of blight among the songbirds. But they've got it. You can tell they've got amazing personalities, and they're really involved with life, and they're really into it, and they think about things, and they eye you up and work you out. So crows, everybody has it. And Walt Whitman has a kind of thing about it. There is that in me. I do not know what it is, but I know it is in me. Wretched and sweaty, calm and cool, then my body becomes. I sleep long. I do not know it. It is without name. It is a word unsaid. It is not in any dictionary or utterance or symbol. Something it swings on more than the earth I swing on. So I could go on, but Whitman does go on, and he's the run-on poet. He's the opposite of Emily Dickinson. But you can tell he got that. He could see that in life. It's I like chewing a spear of grass. I loaf at my ease. He says, that he's meditating. I mean, we call that meditating. He called it loafing at his ease, chewing on a grass spear. But so but you can feel like it's everywhere for us, and it's always open for us. So I'll give you this little, and then we'll sit, I promise. This is from a great book called The Book of Serenity, which has a famous history, which I won't tell you now. Sao Shan asked Elder De, the Buddha's true reality body is like space. It manifests form in response to beings, like the moon in the water. So it manifests its form in response to beings, like the moon in the water. And we've been meditating with this koan, recently in the open temple, which happens every morning for an hour on East Coast and West Coast. So just to say, how do you explain the way it corresponds? The moon, it's like the moon in the water, that the true reality, the thing Whitman's talking about, whatever it is that we experience, it manifests its form in response to beings like the moon in the water. How do you explain that principle? And Day said, it's like a donkey looking in a well, which is rather wonderful. The great spiritual thing, that we are the donkey, we're looking in a well. And Sao Shan said, you said a lot, but you only said 80%. I think there's more to say. And what about you, teacher? It's like the well looking at the donkey. So that the universe is the well looking at the donkey. So let's sit with that, eh? It's like a well looking at a donkey. It's time to meditate. The sound of the bell, the sound of the great bell. It's like the well looking at the donkey. Everything you hear, everything you see. The Buddha's true body, the essential body, is like space. It responds to things, manifesting its forms the way the moon appears in the water. All the water moons come from the one moon. We're all the water moons. How do you explain this responsiveness? It's like a donkey looking in a well. I think that's most of it, but not the whole thing. What's it like for you? It's like a well looking at a donkey. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. There's a famous line in Shakespeare and T.S. Eliot, this music crept by me on the waters. And the music that's just a gift from the universe, really. The Buddha's true essential body is like space. That's it. You know, how everything really depends on that spaciousness, the vastness, but there's not really something holding it up. You know? The Buddha's essential body is like space. It responds to things, manifesting its forms the way the moon appears in the water. How do you explain this responsiveness? It appears out of nothingness, the forms, the music, you, me, all those we love, those we don't love. Dogs and cats and possums. It's like a donkey looking in a well. That's most of it, but not the whole thing. What's it like for you? It's like a well looking at a donkey. So, a well looking at a donkey. Meditation is always here. You can always catch the well looking at you. Every time you look, there it is. So, hi, yet another occasion to laugh. Beginning meditation, ending meditation. Last weekend we were still in retreat, and we did a 6-7 day retreat, depends how you count it, and it was great, and a very deep, intense retreat. And we did about images of creatures, the creatures, like the dog, the buffalo passing through the window. His tail won't go through, things like that, the fox. And it was grand. And one of the things we did was we had a ceremony. It doesn't happen that often, which was for making a transmission ceremony in Zen, where directly pointing to the human mind, a direct transmission outside of scriptures, as Bodhidharma is said to have said. And so we did this. The recipient of this ceremony was Tess Beasley, and so it was kind of very sweet and fun, kind of wild in a way. And Jordan and I did a bunch of us actually, but I was mic'd, did the Japanese Heart Sutra and call in the ancestors, and Jordan hit the drum, so you couldn't hear us doing the Heart Sutra anyway, but he hit the drum so much, so it was another, it wasn't a Zen, it was a Shingon, a different kind, a slightly different kind of ceremony where you actually invoke the ancestors to come and join you. So anyway, I just want to say it was great. I'm glad Tess is now doing whatever it is you do when you're a Roshi. Tess got to do that. And so, do you have anything to say about anything, Tess?
Meditate when you're a Roshi. I think that's what you do to enjoy yourself. Well, I don't know, as we were sitting, you had a really great line at the beginning today about, I'm not going to remember exactly how it goes, but it was about the seam between two going away, like the stitching between two going away. And I was thinking about how powerful it is, like how strong the urge is in us to share experience, like whether it's awakening or feeling or beauty or whatever that is. And I was remembering a story someone told me at the end of the retreat last week, where someone came up and grabbed him and said, I need to talk to you about something. And he thought, oh, what did I do? And this person grabbed him and took him somewhere and took him to a bush that was full of bees just crawling around on the flowers, and said, look. And they both just stood and looked at the bush of bees, which was, especially after 6 days or 7 days of retreat, just the most incredible thing you've ever seen. And the person said to him, I just needed to share this with someone, and you were the person who came into my mind. And I was thinking about how in Dokusan, when one of the amazing things in retreat is, people come to see you, but it's not like they're the donkey staring into the well. Like, they don't just bring you a problem and you want to solve it or something. It's like you both step into this encounter with the universe, and there might be, you don't know exactly what their material is or what yours is or what the ceiling is or what the bird is, that you step into the wideness and the strangeness and the uncertainty of the encounter and just see, oh, we're sharing this now, and so what happens? And you were talking about friendship, and I was thinking, someone told me a great story last week where he was working on his koan, and he woke up in the middle of the night and he realized he was just fighting with his koan, and he thought, I am not going to let this koan beat me, and it's like 3 a.m. And he thought, wait a second, why am I fighting with my koan? Like, are we suddenly in a zero-sum game? And he thought to himself, wait, what is the koan? Wait a second, I'm also the koan, so I'm fighting with myself. And he said, I realize I'm doing this most of the time. I'm fighting with myself. I'm trying to solve myself. I'm trying to think that my life and my everything is a problem somehow. And he said, and I don't even really know exactly who I am. And I could see him stop for a second, and I could see, oh, new problem, who am I? This is, and I said, oh, new problem. And he just started laughing and laughing and laughing. And I started laughing and laughing and laughing. And so just that that space, and how you said something great about there are no conditions. And that's one of the things that seems to appear in that space of encounter, is that the joy or the intimacy or the sharing or the possibility doesn't depend anything on the content or solving anything or being anything or doing anything. It's like getting things out of the way so that we can actually just be here and see what else might be here. So that's it.
Thank you. Very splendid. Dave Weinstein's not that often here, and he's here somewhere. Anything you want to say, Dave?
Oh, yeah, it's great to be here. That would be one thing to say. When you talked about the differences between sort of being an acquaintance and a friend and friendship, I was reminded about a word that Tess used in a message to me recently, which was family ship, and how it's felt even deeper than friendship somehow, family, and how strong that feeling is for me coming out of retreat and sitting here now. And I guess the other thing that I noticed was that little detail in the Buddha's story, the clink of the bowl down there with the dragon and the other bowls. And then it was the sound of the garbage being collected outside that were so important. And remembering how Avalokiteshvara's way of listening was judged to be the best way to help human beings. And then Michael's music just was cherry on top. So thank you all.
Very good. Rachel Riddle. Do you have anything to say?
No, there's two things that come to my mind. And one is sometimes friendship is about allowing our friends to show up as they are, not as we think they need to be. And that's a generous thing. I was speaking with somebody recently, and I shared this. They were talking about their exercise routine and how they always tell themselves how they are supposed to exercise. And they thought they just tried just doing what they felt like as their exercise. And they discovered, oh my God, I could do what I actually need. I could listen to myself instead of what I think I should do. And there was a tremendous freedom that came for them out of just that one thing. And today here, I've been off camera most of the time because I couldn't always be sitting down and meditating. But there was something still that was so important to me about at least being here and communicating and listening in the way that I could and being with you in the way that I could. And that's a kind of friendship. And so I'm happy to have this place where I can do that.
John Joseph, along with, was sitting next to me at the ceremony, and I can still hear his voice chanting that sutra next to me. Dave was on the other side, so other people were hearing him, and Jordan's drum going boom, boom, boom. It was sort of really great. That's the way to do a ceremony.
I've been sitting with the image of the moon on the water, that just beautiful, beautiful image. And something you said about, you used the word precious, precious life, precious friendship, precious joy. And with Tessa's wonderful ceremony made me think of the long arc of the ancestors, the long arc of our life, the long arc of the earth, and how precious that this moment is, and how easily, in a sense, that the image on the water can be obscured by clouds coming over, or maybe the wind blowing or something. Water gets dirty or something. But that we have that water. We have that water holding up our lives, holding up our image of the moon, supporting us, and how important it is to to just have faith in that water, to be able to rest in that water. Yeah, lovely images. Thank you.
What do we do now? Meditate. The bell just goes through us. I was training, occasionally I don't usually do this, but occasionally I'm training someone to use a bell. And anyway, they're using the bell for the first time in a retreat. They said to me, "Oh, I think I didn't do enough bells," and I don't know. It's like there's only ever one bell. So it's just that sound goes through us, and then there's a sound the same sound is going through us, and it's a wonderful thing. The sound of the ancient temple bell. The moon, the donkey watching a well, looking into a well, the well looking at a donkey. In the Book of Serenity, one of the commentaries on this koan says, "Wisdom has no knowledge, but there's nothing it doesn't know." Therefore, purity pervades with abundance. Wisdom has no knowledge, and there's nothing it doesn't know. So, meditation, if you just let the meditation carry you, if you relax into it, fall into it. Don't scheme about what you could get out of meditation any more than you scheme about what you could get out of friendship. Just this is the answer. Just this is what we get out of anything, is this. Just this. The moonlight reflecting on the water. We see the well looking at us, reflecting the moonlight. We don't have to be open to receive it. It just comes to us. The sound comes. Where a child runs and jumps on us. A thought jumps into us. And we can't really do it wrong. You know, the thing about that, the well that looks at the donkey, is that there's no flaw in it, no mistake in it. Even your mistakes aren't mistakes. Don't make your mistakes a mistake, you know, like that. So it's a grand thing. The thing that you cannot do wrong. In fact, there's no you, there's no doing. It's all the activity of the moonlight. I think the thing is that not to, when we're meditating, we see what it's like not to interfere with people and what they're thinking and feeling, not to tell people what they should feel and think. And in a way, the universe does that with us, you know. The well is just looking at us, at our ears and long nose. Todd Geist was also at the retreat, and in fact he was ringing this bell all the time. And I don't know, do you have anything you want to say, Todd?
Hi there. I like the what you're talking about in terms of needing conditions to enjoy myself. The conditions today around here are it's a beautiful sunny day, and my neighbor is celebrating with power tools in the backyard and making a racket. And he's got his hopes and dreams, and doing whatever it is he's doing, and I don't know, it just felt okay. He's I don't know, maybe the power tools are looking at me or something like that. That's what it feels like today. So thank you all for being here.
I think Gary Snyder said that if you, when you go far away into the country of peace and quiet, the chainsaws start up straight away. And I have none today. I have a neighbor who's very eager to start up chainsaws and so on, but he's not doing it today, so very good. So yeah, it's a nice thing to do this together. Thank you. Lots more people I see and want to hear from, but I'll trust that you'll share what is in your heart with someone else. So my heart is very full. So I'm not sure who's doing what, but Amaryllis is at least directing who's doing what to get us out of here and to sing the songs and do the music. So take it away, Amaryllis.
Well, I see that you seem to be the one who is going to sing the vows today.
Me? Oh, very good. Okay, because Jordan doesn't want to, and okay. I shall chant them. The four boundless vows. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. Thank you everyone for coming. Yeah. See you next week. I'll be here next week. And what else? I don't know. Enjoy yourself. And do something loving for someone else. And if you want to donate, if you want to help fund the temple, be a bodhisattva in that way, go online, pacificzen.org, and we appreciate it. And we'll see you. And there's lots of interesting things happening. Look out for Jesse Carden's going to have a one-day or a short online thing real soon. So check out for that. Check the website. Thank you very much.